Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 58th episode of my series where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it had, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. Eminem definitely holds a place for me personally that no other rapper does. And he might be the only one where if you ask me if I like him or not, I could answer either way depending on what day you ask. There's a laundry list of things that put M in this precarious position for me. The first being personal experience and bias. I've mentioned before how Lil Wayne was probably my first favorite rapper, but Eminem was definitely up there when I was probably 11 or 12 and first really finding out who these guys were. I knew their names, of course, but the thing is, just like Wayne, I was being introduced to the stuff they were putting out then in 2010 or 11, so this meant rebirth and recovery. It wouldn't be many years before I outgrew those horrible albums and staunchly went to the other side of the fence. With both, of course, I knew some of the older moments, but it would take maturing a bit and really taking in the first two albums for M for me to go from disliking him to the viewpoint of he's an immense talent who still can put out some pretty technically amazing verses at times, but after his first few albums, his work had a severe drop in quality for me. Again, while he can still do the odd impressive feature, and he'll always be respected for the chokehold he used to have the game in, I do think there's something to be said for hurting your own legacy at a certain point. I don't think he's really in any danger of losing a lot of fans, sales, or placements anytime soon, but he has partially been doomed by his own fan base, who just epitomized the phrase of, oh, I don't really enjoy hip hop, but I do like Eminem. All that aside, while I'm probably always going to be of the opinion that M has way more misses than hits when it comes to his discography, you really can't take away how massively successful he was at his high point from him. And even most of the albums that I perceive as misses still sold millions of copies. While he had buzz in the underground Detroit scene, the mid 90s would still be a bit of a formative time where he was still preparing to take the world by storm just a few years later. If you're a bit younger and just know Eminem from his 8 Mile days or even after that, there's a chance you aren't too familiar with his time at Aftermath, where he became the first superstar Dr. Dre would take under his wing and mentor. He would be far from the last, but as massive as the careers of guys like 50 Cent and The Game were, it's hard to deny that Eminem was Dre's biggest contribution to hip hop when it came to proteges. Though, of course, you have to acknowledge that 50 Cent was kind of more of a protege of Eminem than Dr. Dre, but it all goes down that Dr. Dre pipeline. Anyone around my age who was into the Tyler the Creator and Odd Future movement when it hit the scene likely wouldn't have too much trouble digesting the kind of horrorcore themes of this album due to being a bit desensitized to edgy rap about murder and sexual assault. There were still albums in hip hop with dark and disturbing subject matter prior to Eminem, like Mystic Styles or Dr. Octagonacologist. But with Slim Shady, it was kind of deliberately hard to separate the art from the artist. The stories aren't really this dark, mysterious, but separate character like Victor Vaughn, where it feels like he's a supervillain with a grand plan and this is clearly a different persona. The stories M tells are based in enough reality to where people wondered how much of it was true at the time, like the focus on his infant daughter and issues with both his mother and his child's mother. Obviously, he didn't actually throw her in the lake or microwave his guinea pig to my knowledge, but a lot of the stories he tells are about real people and events in his life, giving him this it's me against everybody quality that I'm not sure anybody else has done quite the same way. He's very directly responding to critics, fans, and parents all over this thing, and his popularity with the youth at the time only made this pushback stronger. Really, this entire stage of M's career can be broken down by a line he spits on As the World Turns, which is, we drive around in million-dollar sports cars while little kids hide this tape from their parents like bad report cards. However, as much as his debut had to offer, I think he really perfected his sound on his second album, the Marshall Mathers LP, which I only didn't do here because it's technically a 2000s release. While a good chunk of Slim Shady LP is made up of those horrorcore type lyrics from M's more psycho sociopathic side, or character, whatever you want to call it, there's actually a pretty wide array of topics that he delves into. From being considered a role model and the problems that come with that, to hitting your own personal low, to even having a girl trip on psychedelics with you, but then it goes bad and you feel guilty. I'm sure a lot of us have been in that position before, and for what it's worth, I don't think there was too much hip hop about shrooms at the time. Of course, the topics are sort of secondary to the rhyme schemes, which are really what makes this thing a classic for me. They're leagues ahead of his contemporaries, and in terms of mainstream hip hop, nobody was technically doing what M was when he debuted. The production on here doesn't hurt either, with multiple classic beats by the likes of Dre, Bass Brothers, and Melman. You also have Dre as a featured artist, as well as Dino Ray and Royce da 5'9", as well as multiple other names who pop up on the skits throughout the album. My three favorites on this infamous debut aren't exactly deep cuts, those being My Name Is, Guilty Conscious, and Bad Meets Evil. For tracks that didn't quite make the cut that I still want to shout out, I have Brain Damage, 97 Bonnie and Clyde, Role Model, Rock Bottom, Just Don't Give a Fuck, I'm Shady, and Still Don't Give a Fuck. Thank you for watching my 58th video. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite songs off this game changer are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.